Seldom are an anime gacha character's personality as big as their horns. With Arataki Itto set to get another rerun, and since our current cast of characters has expanded since his last banner, I wanted to take the minute to provide an updated guide for our favorite Oni. In today's video, we'll go over his best weapons, his best artifacts, as well as substats. We'll go over his best team comps, we'll briefly touch upon his constellations, we'll go over his kit, and then I'll conclude by going over my overall poll valuation of Arataki Itto. Now, Arataki Itto is a 5-star geo damage dealer who scales off defense. He is a claymore character who loves to bash enemies with his huge club.
What?
Now, if we go into his kit, Itto is very predicated upon his charge attack. You'll see that in his charge attack, you will gain these super strength stacks. Now, that's very important to remember because these super stacks basically control how much damage he can do and how long he can remain in his charge attack. And if you'll watch the showcase later, you'll definitely get a better understanding of how it works. But essentially, when you hold or utilize his charge attack, he unleashes a series of these Kesaguri slashes which without consuming stamina, and you'll consume a stack of superlative super strength. And when the final stack is consumed, you'll do this huge major slam, which looks awesome. Now, he also has a little taunt named Ushi. Ushi is adorable, but Ushi also has a big part of his kit because Ushi will also give a stack of these superlative super strength. So kind of the rotation, and we'll cover this and you'll see it in the showcase later, but you definitely want to pop his burst, throw Ushi, and then it'll give a stack of your superlative super strength, and then you can womp away. Very, very fun, very, very enjoyable. And as I mentioned, his burst, it converts all his attacks into geo damage, so it's very important that you have a geo damage goblet on him, but you definitely want to level up his normal attacks and his burst, and then you can kind of consider leveling up Ushi if you want your bull to do more damage. Now, that's the overview of Itto's kit. Now, if we go over to his weapons, he obviously is a claymore character and he loves scaling off defense. Now, naturally, his best in slot is his signature weapon, Red Horn Stone Thresher, always a mouthful. This is a phenomenal weapon. It's actually a pretty good claymore. It can be used on some other claymore characters because it has such a huge crit damage stat, but it obviously gives him defense scaling and it gives him normal and charge attack damage based on his defense. So all in all, this is his best in slot, not even close, but there are some other good options. Unforged can be a good option because you're normally pairing Itto with a shield character like Zhongli. This can definitely be a good weapon for him because he does convert his defense into attack. So he doesn't mind having some, beefy attack stats. Similar goes with Wolf's Gravestone, but honestly, probably one of his better weapons is actually a 4-star craftable weapon, the White Blind. It has defense as a substat, so you can go and R5 that with some bullets. So I think Itto, I would say his weapons are a little rigid, but honestly, the fact that you can craft a very good option for him, I think is a very solid option. Now, if we go down to his relics, I would say his relics are pretty stock standard as well. However, there is definitely a recent set that can be utilized on him very effectively, but all in all, I would still say Husk of Opulent Dreams is his best 4-stat. You're getting a pretty substantial defense increase with the 2-piece, and then you're based on your attack patterns, you're getting a stack of Curiosity, which stacks up to 4 times, and each provides 6% defense and 6% geo damage bonus. So all in all, I would still say that this is his best in slot weapon, or I'm sorry, best in slot artifact set. And you'll definitely want to prioritize a defense sans. And as far as substats, you want to look for crit rate, crit damage. Attack isn't the worst in the world because, like I said, he converts his defense into attack. You can also definitely prioritize energy recharge because you definitely want to be able to spam his burst on cooldown because Itto without his burst does very, very minimal damage. You'll definitely want to do a geo damage goblet because when he utilizes his burst, like I mentioned, he converts all his attacks into geo damage. And then you'll definitely want to look for a crit rate, crit damage circlet. And as I mentioned, look for defense, look for crit rate, look for crit damage, look for energy recharge, and he will pop off. Now, as I alluded to, there's also another artifact set that can be highly utilized on Itto, and that is the Marishishi Hunter. I know I butchered that. I kind of did it intentionally. This set is actually very good on Itto because you are getting a normal and charge attack damage increase by 15%. And then when your current HP increases or decreases, which we'll touch upon in his team comp section, your crit rate will be increased by 12%. So if you're having trouble building and getting a good amount of crit rate, maybe if you're using the white blind and you're really struggling to get crit because it is a defense main stat weapon, I would highly suggest the Hunter set. Obviously, you'll have to pair him with, a specific character or specific characters that lower your HP, but this is a very good set on him. He definitely gets benefits from the 2-piece and obviously the 4-piece set. So I would say those are definitely the two best sets to consider on our favorite Oni. Now, if we go into his team comps, since we've been talking about, different ways to build his artifact set, I would say Itto before Fontaine, this was easily his best team comp. Zhongli, best shielder in the game, obviously, and his shield provides resistance shred. And because Itto can get knocked out of his burst, it can be imperative to pair him with a shield. Obviously, Goru, phenomenal support, can give a ton of damage. It can give a ton of energy and can also provide some healing if you get Constellations for him. And then you can obviously run Albedo. Albedo's a very good sub DPS for Mono Geo, and he can also be a pretty good battery as well. Now, with the insertion of Fontaine, we also have Farina. So if you are running Hunter, I would definitely suggest running Farina. She will not only make Hunter work, giving your Itto more crit rate, but she can also significantly improve the damage of your Itto overall. You can run her with Bennett. Obviously, Bennett doesn't heal your team fully, so you wouldn't get full stacks from Farina, but you would definitely get enough stacks for this team to pop off. You could obviously use Goru as well if you have Constellations, because he can be a healer. I would say his healing isn't great overall. It might be worse than Bennett's, but in a pinch, it can obviously work. Or you can also build Noelle as a healer because she actually has some pretty good healing and it is team wide. So all in all, I think you have pretty good options if you're running Itto with Farina, if you're running the Hunter set. So all in all, he does have some rigidity to his team comps. You definitely want to run him in Mono Geo because you want a particle funnel to him so you can spam his burst on cooldown. But all in all, I think with the introduction of Fontaine, he has kind of gotten a little bit easier to manipulate as far as team comps are concerned. Now, if we pop into his Constellations very quick, Itto is amazing at C0. He is a very fun DPS. I don't think Constellations are required on him as well at all. I think it's just predicated upon using his team comp, building him properly. But I would say his C1 and C2 are pretty good. After you use his burst, he gains 2 stacks of superlative super strength right out the get-go, so you don't even have to worry about really using other attacks beforehand. So this is very big. And then obviously it'll decrease his C2 will decrease the cooldown of his burst, and you'll get additional energy. So these two definitely help with improving your damage and then also making sure that you can spam his burst on cooldown. And then I think he has probably one of the coolest and most fun C6s in the game. You get 70% crit damage, which is insane, but there's also a 50% chance to not consume attack or a stack of superlative super strength when you're using his charge attack. So in a situation, in a particular Spider-Verse, multiverse, there is a world in which you could charge attack endlessly. So I think that's pretty cool. If money wasn't a thing, maybe I'd consider C6 Itto. But all in all, like I mentioned, he is a very good DPS at C0. Now, if we conclude with my overall poll priority of Itto, I love this character. I think he has one of the best personalities in the game, which if that's something that you care about, I definitely would say Itto has a personality in spades. Now, he is a little niche as far as DPSs are concerned. In fact, I would say, with the introduction of Navia, I would say she's definitely the queen of Geo as far as, damage dealers for the element go. But Itto is definitely a lot of fun. I think if you don't really care about Abyss, I think Itto is a phenomenal pickup. Is he the best DPS in the game? Absolutely not. Is he the worst? No, I definitely don't think he's the worst either. I do think his team comps are pretty set in stone, but I think with the introduction of Fontaine and Farina, you can definitely work around it. But all in all, I would give my man Itto a 6.75 out of 10 on the poll priority. But all in all, I think he's a very fun character. If you want to get him, I would definitely recommend him. I think certain Abyss rotations he can be very good, and he can definitely clear better than others. But all in all, a very fun character, and I would recommend him to anybody. But I appreciate y'all popping in for the video, and I hope that this helped. And if you're going for Arataki Itto, let me know in the comments. And I wish you the best. Take care.